last word.
Thank you, Kareem, and thank you, Admiral. I should like first to take one more stab at getting you to say something substantive about the Trump case.
Go for it.
And then
I will be just as unsatisfying to you as I have been to everybody else.
That's so prejudicial.
But I also want to be, I got Mauritius up here, and nobody asked me. Nobody. And I was ready today.
And that is not the subject of my second thrust. But first on the Trump case, and then I want to ask about Americans detained in foreign countries. President Biden, in a speech that was an official speech and not a campaign speech last year in Philadelphia, identified Donald Trump and his supporters as threats to the American homeland. And you amplified those comments in one of your Zoom briefings that you held not long thereafter. Does the enrollment of Donald Trump in the American criminal justice system as a defendant, which necessarily entails certain restrictions on his movements and so on, provide for the American people some reassurance that he is less of a threat than he was when the president made those remarks?
James, I'm just not in a position to speak to that one way or the other.
And then finally, a short series of questions about Americans who are detained in other countries.
Short series?
Yes.
Series. There's no such thing as short series. Those two words don't go together.
Your interjections do not make things shorter. All right. First question is this. You've spoken often about your efforts ongoing to secure the release and return of Americans who are wrongfully detained in foreign countries.
Yeah.
That very formulation implies another category of Americans, the opposite category, whatever you'd want to call it, Americans who are rightfully detained or lawfully or justly detained. First question of three short questions. Does the administration recognize the existence of such a category of Americans? And if so, are they also the object of your efforts to get them released and returned?
Sorry, I was going to write on her book, and I shouldn't do that. You're mad at me. Look, I'd refer you to the State Department on categorization here. I don't know that there is something like, I don't know that there's a separate legal category of somebody who is not wrongfully detained. But you're right. There are, some Americans are designated wrongfully detained because we know they're being detained for political purposes or on trumped-up charges. Sometimes Americans get into trouble overseas by violating local laws, and they have to and should answer for their transgressions to those laws. But I don't know that there's a separate categorization. I really would refer you to my State Department colleagues on that.
In terms of the first category, Americans wrongfully detained in foreign countries, is there a ballpark figure as to how many there are around the world?
I don't have that figure.
Somewhere between half a dozen and 200?
I don't know, James.
Okay.
State Department is the right place to go for that.
Last question. Does the administration consider Lieutenant Alconis to be an American who is wrongfully detained?
The president is certainly mindful of and has been briefed many times on Lieutenant Alconis' situation. And what I can tell you is that we continue to work with the Japanese government here to try to address this in the most appropriate and legally feasible manner. That's as much as I can say on that. Yeah, thank you.